He found her face down in a dry creek, barely breathing. Dust in her mouth, blood on her temple, skin already burning under the sun. Left there to die. Rowan Vale didn't move at first. Out here, that wasn't unusual. People disappeared. No one came looking. But then she moved. Just a little. A breath. He stepped closer, slow, careful. Asian, young, too light to have survived this long. He lifted her head, just enough to give her water. Her eyes opened, and what she said, "Please, not again." Rowan froze, because that wasn't fear of him. That was someone who had already been left behind before. And suddenly, this wasn't just a dying stranger. This was a story he was already too late to stop. Still, he picked her up, carried her back to his cabin, breaking the one rule he had lived by for years. Never let anyone in. The cabin was dark, cool, silent, until her breathing filled it, shallow, uneven, alive. He set her on his bed, stepped back, not knowing what he had just brought home, or what would come looking for her. Her name he didn't know yet, but the way she flinched in her sleep told him one thing. Whatever she ran from wasn't done with her. She woke before sunrise. Not fully, just enough to know she wasn't dead. The ceiling above her was unfamiliar. Rough wood. Low, not the sky. Her body tensed instantly. Alive meant it could happen again. She didn't move, just listened. Wind outside, wood creaking. A man somewhere in the room. Rowan was sitting at the table, still, watching. Not staring, just there, like he had been all night. She turned her head slowly. Their eyes met. Fear came first, sharp, immediate. She tried to push herself up and failed. Her body gave out beneath her. Rowan didn't move, didn't reach for her, didn't step closer. Easy. His voice was rough, unused. You're safe here. She didn't believe him, not even a little. Her eyes moved, fast, calculating. Door, distance, weapons. Him. Rowan noticed. Of course he did. He stood slowly, every movement deliberate, then turned his back to her, walked to the fire, poured broth into a bowl, set it down, not too close, not too far. Eat when you can. And then he stepped away, all the way across the room, sat down again, facing away. Silence returned. But it was different now. It had edges. She waited. 1 minute, 2, watching him. He didn't turn, didn't look, didn't speak. Finally, she moved. Slow, careful. Her hand reached for the bowl. She hesitated, right before touching it. Poison or kindness? She didn't know which was worse, but hunger won. She drank. Rowan heard it, the smallest sound, but he didn't react, didn't even shift. That mattered, more than anything he could have said. Days passed like that. No questions, no demands, just distance and quiet. On the third morning, she spoke. Mayanne? Rowan looked up, just once, a small nod. Rowan. That was it, no more. But something had changed. She started moving around the cabin, cleaning, fixing small things, not because he asked, but because she needed to not feel like a burden, to not be temporary. Rowan noticed everything, the swept floor, the folded blanket, the way the cabin felt less empty. He didn't thank her, not at first, but the next morning there was more food on the table, warmer, better. That was his way, and she understood. Out here, trust didn't come from words. It came from what people didn't do. He didn't touch her, didn't question her, didn't push. And slowly, very slowly, she stopped expecting him to. By the fourth day, the silence had changed. It was no longer something they hid inside. It was something they shared. Mayanne sat by the doorway, watching the land. Endless, dry, unforgiving, but still safer than where she came from. Rowan worked outside, fixing fence that didn't matter, just to keep his hands busy, but his eyes kept drifting back to the cabin, to her. That was new. He didn't like it, didn't understand it, but he didn't stop. Not anymore. That evening she spoke again. My husband. Rowan didn't look up, but he listened. He worked on the railroad, promised money, a house. Her voice didn't shake, but something inside it did. They said we would belong. She let out a breath. We didn't. Silence fell again, but this time it wasn't empty. Rowan tightened his grip on the leather strap in his hands. He already knew the rest. Men like that, they never stopped at lies. He died there. No tears, no sound, just truth. Mayanne looked out at the land. I was told to leave, and when I didn't... She stopped, didn't need to finish. Rowan's jaw tightened, a slow heat building in his chest. Not anger for himself, for her. That was new, too. The next morning he noticed something. Tracks, faint, half covered by dust. Horse tracks. Not his. Recent. Rowan stood still, listening. The land said nothing, but it never did before trouble came. Inside, Mayanne felt it too, that shift, that quiet warning in the air. She stepped outside slowly. Her eyes scanned the horizon. Empty, but not safe. They will come back. She didn't look at him, didn't have to. Rowan followed her gaze. For the first time, he didn't feel alone out here, because now there was something to lose. He turned toward the cabin, already thinking, already preparing, and without saying it, they both understood the same thing. Whatever she ran from was getting closer. They came at noon. No warning, no dust trail, just there. Two riders, cutting across the dry land like they owned it, Rowan saw them first, standing still by the fence. Mayan stepped out behind him, and the moment she saw them, her body froze. "They found me." Rowan didn't turn, didn't ask. He already knew. The riders slowed, eyes scanning everything. The cabin, the well, her. That's when their smiles changed. Not curious anymore. Certain. "Well now," the bigger one spoke. "Looks like the story was true." Rowan stepped forward. Just one step, but enough. "She's not yours." His voice was low, flat. No warning, no negotiation. The second man laughed. "Everything out here belongs to whoever takes it." His eyes didn't leave Mayan. She took a step back, but didn't run. Not this time. Rowan noticed, and something inside him locked into place. "You're done here." He said it quietly, but it landed heavy. The men exchanged a look, then dismounted. That was the moment. Everything shifted. This wasn't talk anymore. Rowan moved first. Not fast, just certain. He grabbed the axe from the post. Let the blade catch the sun. No threats, no shouting, just a line drawn in silence. The air tightened. Even the wind stopped. The bigger man scoffed, but he didn't step closer. Not yet. "Careful, farmer. You don't know what you're protecting." Rowan's grip tightened. "I know enough." His eyes flicked, just once, to Mayan. She was still there, still standing, still choosing not to run. That was all he needed. The silence stretched. Then finally, the men backed off. Not defeated, just waiting. "This ain't over." The smaller one spat into the dust. They mounted again, rode off slow. Too slow, like they wanted to be watched. Rowan didn't move until they disappeared. Not even then. Only when the land went quiet again did he lower the axe. Behind him, Mayan finally exhaled, a breath she'd been holding for years. "They will come back." Rowan nodded, not denying it, not afraid of it. Because now it wasn't just his land. It was hers, too. And he wasn't letting anyone take that away. They came back at night. No voices, no warning, just footsteps outside the cabin. Slow, deliberate. Rowan was already awake. He hadn't really slept, not since they left. He reached for the rifle, checked the door. Mayan was behind him, silent but ready. She didn't hide, not anymore. A hand slammed against the door. "Open it!" Rowan didn't answer. Another hit, harder. Wood cracked. "They're not leaving." Mayan's voice, steady. Rowan nodded once. "Stay back." She didn't move. The third hit broke the lock. The door burst open. Cold night air rushed in, and them right behind it. The first man stepped in, smiling, until Mayan moved. Fast. She grabbed the iron pan, still hot from the fire, and threw ash straight into his face. He screamed, blinded, falling back. The second man lunged, but Rowan was already there. The rifle came down hard. Bone. The man dropped. Silence exploded into chaos, then vanished. Both of them stumbled back outside, cursing, retreating. Not brave anymore, just gone. Rowan slammed the door shut, barred it, his chest rising, falling, too fast. He turned. Mayan was still standing, shaking, but standing. For a second, neither of them moved. Then she broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just collapsed into him, her hands gripping his shirt, like if she let go, everything would disappear again. Rowan held her, tight, one hand on her back, the other in her hair. "You're safe." This time he believed it. She cried against his chest, not just from fear, but from something breaking free. Days later, the land was quiet again, but not the same. The door was fixed, stronger. The fire burned warmer, and the silence was no longer empty. Mayan stood outside the cabin, looking at the horizon, the same land that once almost killed her. Now it felt different. Not kind, but no longer alone. Rowan stepped beside her, close but not touching. Not yet. "You can leave," he said quietly, "when you're ready." She didn't answer, didn't move, just looked forward, then shook her head. "I already did." Rowan exhaled, a slow breath he didn't know he'd been holding, and for the first time in years, the land didn't feel empty. Because now, he wasn't the only one still standing on it.